Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be getting into something I think you're really going to find interesting, especially knowing how much you love all things tech and geopolitics.
Yeah.
So basically, there's this article from Hacker News, right?
Yeah.
And it's about how the U.S. government might actually ban any new connected vehicles from using technology that comes from China or Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking cars, trucks, buses.
Anything that's part of this whole, digitally connected wave of vehicles.
Exactly. And it seems like the big concern for the U.S. Department of Commerce is all about the connected systems, especially the software for self-driving that could be vulnerable to, data leaks or it's someone like it taking control remotely.
Right. And just to clarify, we're not talking about every single piece of tech from these countries. It's very specific. It's the vehicle connectivity system, they call it VCS, and ADS, which is the automated driving system.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so these systems are responsible for, data going back and forth, tracking where the vehicle is and, how they're talking to all the infrastructure around them. And then for ADS, well, the car driving itself.
Okay. That's, I mean, I can definitely see why there'd be some concern there. I mean, we've all heard those stories about hackers messing with cars.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what could happen if a foreign government was able to get into those systems, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Your car's GPS going haywire. Someone getting into your infotainment system and taking your data. Or even worse, messing with how your car actually drives.
Yeah.
That's some scary stuff. And it sounds like that's exactly what the U.S. government is trying to prevent.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of unsettling when you put it like that. And it's not like our cars are exactly shy about collecting our data already, right? I mean, the article even mentioned how much info these modern vehicles are gathering, location, how fast you're going. Some of them even have cameras.
Oh, yeah, they are always watching.
Right. And then all that gets shared with, who knows, like insurance companies and other third parties. Makes you wonder just how safe all that data really is.
No, it's a huge issue. This whole thing about data security in these connected vehicles is massive, and we're only at the beginning. Think about it. Your car could be building this whole profile on you, your daily routine, everywhere you go, even who you hang out with, all from the data it's constantly gathering. That's valuable information. We need to be thinking about how it could be misused.
Yeah, it's almost like we're about to see this, like technological standoff, our cars becoming pawns in this much bigger game.
Yeah, I get what you mean. We have to look at this proposed ban within the context of how the US, China, and Russia are all competing to be the top dog in the tech world. I mean, we saw this with 5G, with AI, even just the chips that make all this stuff work. And now it's connected vehicles.
So it's not even just about like keeping our cars from getting hacked. It's about national security in a world that's becoming more and more reliant on technology, right? But where does this leave all the car companies? I mean, I'm sure some of them use Chinese or Russian tech in their vehicles.
Oh, for sure. Many of them have parts from these countries in their supply chains. It's often cheaper, easier to get, and essential for everything from simple GPS navigation to those fancy driver assistance features everyone wants these days.
So what happens when this ban actually kicks in? Are we going to see car prices go through the roof
Yeah.
because manufacturers have to find new suppliers all of a sudden? What about all the cool new tech coming out in the auto industry? I mean, it's complicated, right? Like competition is usually a good thing for innovation, but if the government sees a real danger, don't they kind of have to step in?
It's a tough one for sure. I mean, yeah, a ban like this, it could shake things up big time for the car industry, maybe even make cars more expensive for everyone. And it's not even just about finding new companies to work with. It's about completely redesigning some of these systems from the ground up. Could mean delays on getting new models out there, holding back some of those cool features. And then there's the whole mess of dealing with international trade stuff. It's a lot.
Right. Yeah, it's not like flipping a switch.
Yeah.
But didn't the article say that this ban wouldn't happen right away? Like they don't talk doing it in phases or something?
Yeah, you got it. The proposal lays out a timeline to give everyone some breathing room. So for the software side of things, the restrictions wouldn't kick in until the 2027 models. And then for the actual hardware, they've got a later deadline of 2030.
2030. That's still pretty far out.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to strike that balance between keeping things secure, but also being realistic about how global supply chains actually work.
So maybe this is all just a clever way to give U.S. tech companies a boost, right? Like, give them time to catch up,
Hmm.
come up with their own alternatives, and then we're not so reliant on other countries.
Could be. It's definitely possible that this whole thing is meant to be like a jumpstart for American companies working on this stuff, like 5G, those secure platforms for connected cars, even the software behind self-driving, give them a chance to really dominate that market.
Yeah, that would make sense. I gotta be honest, though, a part of me can't help but wonder if we're losing something by doing this. Like, isn't there some benefit to having everyone in the tech world working together, sharing ideas? Is it worth sacrificing that in the name of security?
Yeah, it's a tough one to wrestle with. It really makes you think about how much control you're willing to give up just to feel safe? Like, are we okay with our data potentially being out there, being used in ways we don't like, all in exchange for the convenience of these connected cars? It's a question we all have to answer for ourselves.
No, totally. And it's kind of creepy when you actually think about it. All
Mhm.
that data our vehicles are collecting, it's like, I don't know, having your phone constantly watching your every move, but in your car. Do you think this ban will actually make people feel safer, though? Or is it going to make them more worried that the government's got too much power now? It's weird, right? Most of the time, I don't even think twice about what I put online. But when it's my car and you start talking about, like, my safety on the road, it feels different somehow.
Yeah, no, it really shows how the whole idea of privacy is changing in this digital world. Like our phones and computers, they're already tracking everything we do, but now it's our cars too. That's a whole other level of personal information. And for a lot of people, it's just too much.
It makes you wonder, like, who do we trust with all this data?
Hmm.
Like, would I feel differently if it was a company here in the U.S. collecting it instead
Yeah.
of one in China or Russia? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. And that's the thing, right? This isn't just about our data, it's about these bigger issues. The economy, who's winning in the tech world, all those global power dynamics. It's complicated.
It really is. And it makes me wonder about the future. Like, is this ban actually going to make it harder for the car industry to come up with cool new stuff? If
Mhm.
companies can't get their tech from certain places, doesn't that just slow everything down?
That's definitely a possibility. Competition is what usually pushes everyone to do better, make things faster, more efficient. But then again, if this ban goes through, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe this is what US companies need to step up their game, start innovating in these areas again. Or maybe the car companies will find ways around it. Who knows?
It makes you think. Like, how much extra would I actually pay to have a car with only American-made tech in it? I mean, if I knew my data was safe and no one was going to mess with my car, would it be worth spending more? That's something I'm going to have to think about, and I bet a lot of other people will too.
Absolutely. It all comes down to what matters most to you. But the important thing is that we're all thinking about these things. Technology is everywhere now, and it's changing how we live our lives. We can't just sit back and let it happen? We have to be informed to make smart choices about what we're comfortable with, especially when it comes to something as important as our vehicles.
Totally agree. And that's what we're all about here, right? Digging into these complicated issues, figuring out what it all means. It's not always about easy answers, but at least we're asking the right questions.
Exactly. This whole conversation about cars and technology, it's really just a small part of something much bigger that's happening in our world. And these conversations are only going to become more important as we move forward.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. So, a huge thank you to you for breaking it all down with us, and of course to all of you listening for joining us on this deep dive. Keep those brains buzzing, and we'll catch you on the next one.